Today, there are two words we hear frequently. On social media, in the streets, or on television: boycott and lynch. We use one when calling for a product to be avoided, and the other when someone is collectively criticized. But these words are not as innocent as they seem, because both come from people's names, and the events those people lived through have turned into echoes that span across global memory. First, let's look at the word boycott. The year is 1880, the place, Ireland. Under British rule, landowners imposed brutal rent increases on the peasants. The people, already struggling with hunger, were desperate. But in the midst of that desperation, a new form of resistance was born. Charles Boycott was a land manager, working on behalf of England. He was the one collecting the peasants' rents and punishing those who didn't pay. But Boycott's methods were too harsh. He ignored pleas for help from the people, and even escalated things by threatening them with military protection. In response, the townspeople made an extraordinary decision. They didn't attack him, they didn't throw stones or threaten him. They did nothing. Everyone in the town cut off contact with him. The butcher refused to sell him meat, the farmers withheld their crops, and children wouldn't even greet him. Boycott was entirely excluded from society. This passive yet highly effective form of protest spread quickly. British newspapers began to call this kind of protest by one word: boycott. So today, when you boycott a brand or choose not to buy something, you're actually using the name of a man who was cast out by his own community. By the way, if you enjoy surprising facts like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's turn to the second word, lynch. Today, when someone faces massive backlash, especially on social media, we say they were lynched. But the origin of this word lies in a far darker and more disturbing story. And just like boycott, Lynch is also a surname. Charles Lynch was a judge in Virginia at the end of the 18th century. During the American Revolutionary War, he punished those he suspected of being anti-American without trials or evidence: prison, torture, and even death. These illegal practices were first called Lynch's Law, a person who disregarded the legal system and delivered justice on their own terms. Over time, the term evolved into simply lynching, a violent act where the crowd delivers punishment, often without legal process. But what's even more horrifying is what the word became. Especially in the 19th and 20th centuries in America, thousands of African Americans were lynched without trials, without evidence, based only on rumors, hanged, stoned, burned. And often, crowds came to watch these events, almost like a theater. Today, in American history, lynching still stands as a symbol of collective shame, a haunting reminder of a time when a nation chose rage over law. In our language, saying "I was lynched" may sound casual, but in English, the word still carries a deep pain. That's why Americans use it much more cautiously and respectfully. And here's the most striking part. When we use these two words in everyday life, sometimes just because we chose not to buy something, sometimes just to criticize someone, without realizing it, we carry the traces of a resistance, and sometimes the shadows of a tragedy. Because words are not just tools. Words are capsules of memory, and some of them whisper the echoes of real, lived trauma.